Okay, for quick tip number 2, I jumped down to the iview/INO menu page here. And this view is what defaults open when I do that. Now to customize this page, there are 3 things that I want to show you. The first is navigator bands. So this is fairly limited when you first open it. It has what's called physician view with several assessments listed under here. Then the next navigator band is intake and output, and then the last one is graph. So there's only 3 what we call navigator bands that are showing. But perhaps that is not sufficient. So I want to add some more. And to do that, I'm going to go up here to view at the very top here to view. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to say layout. And I did a little arrow over, so I follow that, and I'm going to select navigator bands and click there. And once I get to this page, I have several options available to me. So as you see, I have ICU assessments, I have ED assessments, lots of options here under this document type. So if I feel like I should be seeing some information at my fingertips and it's not something that is populating right away, likely that I can add that here. So I'm just going to select these ED ones for our demonstration purposes. And I don't have to hit Control or Shift. I'm simply clicking on each one, and it's highlighting the whole list of them. When I select all of the ones that I want, I go to the right facing arrow. If I had selected something I didn't want, I could simply select that and put that back to the left. Okay. And I'm going to say OK. Now, you get this pop-up that says changes to navigator bands will not be displayed until you close and restart the application. So what that means is I have to completely exit PowerChart in order for those navigator bands to show in my iview. Not I have to close the patient's chart. I have to exit out of PowerChart, exit, and then restart the application or tap back in order for that to take effect. Now, I don't want to do that just yet. I want to show you the last 2 things that you can customize with this, but that's when all of those would pop up, and then you would have these blue bands with all of those other headings appearing. But once you do that, and you want to customize each individual view, so I'm on vital measurements. Vital measurements is here to the right. You have these 3 icons here, so you can insert the date and time. That's this icon. You can change the INO total start time, and I want to focus on this customized view, this graph looking icon here. And when I hover over it, it says customize view. So I'm going to click on that. And when I click on that, I have this display where I can customize all of the different headings in here. So maybe I don't need to see the brain temperature or the bladder temperature or the esophageal temperature. Okay, I can deselect those items, and when I say OK, it's going to take those off of my view when I go back to vital measurements. So again, that was the customize view icon and the customize window here. So there are lots of pieces of information that come to this view, and they are all pre-selected to populate, so it can make this view very long. And again, you can deselect the ones that are not relevant to your type of practice by simply going through here and taking a little bit of time to customize this. Okay. You can also change your preferences by going here. So if you wanted more than the last 24 hours, you could simply click that down arrow and it will change the default view from 24 hours to 48 or 72 or a clinical range that you select. So you have lots of other ways to customize this simply by playing around with these settings. If you wanted it instead of reverse chronological order to chronological order, You could change that. If you wanted the default interval to be something other than the defaulted 1 hour, you can change that selection as well, etc. Okay, so that is customizing this view. So I'm going to say okay. I probably didn't change anything since the last time I said okay, so I'll just change something else and then I'll say okay. And when I get out of the chart and completely back in, that will get out of power chart, excuse me, and completely back in, that will reset these defaults. And if I elected not to change the time default, I can still manipulate that by going right and left on these arrows here. So if I didn't default this to 48 hours, I can still, in each individual chart, click on these arrows to navigate there. Or I can right click and establish that time frame. Okay, that's quick tip number 2.